The technique that facilitates the elicitation and communication on the most detailed requirements is also known as story elaboration. Story elaboration is used to define the detailed design and acceptance criteria for a story as needed to deliver a working solution. If we make a comparison with the previously discussed technique, we can state that story elaboration is related to story decomposition in that the story is elaborated at the lowest level of decomposition. In addition to that, story elaboration includes acceptance criteria, which defines done for the user's story. The crucial thing to comprehend is when to start digging deep into which story. The best way to avoid waste is to elaborate only enough stories just when they are needed, so on a just-in-time and just-enough basis. Related to that, I want to highlight one more time that backlog refinement includes both story decomposition and story elaboration. When we speak about the correlation with other Agile techniques, let me stress that story elaboration is always completed as a preparation for the planning workshop. For more details on backlog refinement and planning workshops, please refer to the module Selecting Agile Techniques in the Context of Communications of this very course. Looking from the perspective of the planning horizons, story elaboration takes place at the delivery horizon, meaning you should elaborate stories in each iteration, focusing on the top prioritized stories. One of the driving forces of this technique is elicitation, that is, collecting feedback from key stakeholders. What's also typical for elaborating stories is that it defines, adds, or removes acceptance criteria for the stories. For more details on the complementary technique acceptance and evaluation criteria, I warmly suggest you take a more in-depth look in the Babak guide. Now, take a moment to think. How can you tell if the story elaboration is appropriately done? Pause the course if you need more time. The answer is when you achieve a shared understanding among stakeholders of what each story should deliver. The most significant benefit of story elaboration is that it helps you and your team stay focused. You remain focused on only top priority items, and it's ensured that you do not focus on features that might change over time. By being focused on only relevant and current stories, you reduce elicitation time, which is one of the ways to reduce waste. But be aware, if you don't do a proper elaboration, you can end up with stories that have too many or too few details. Eliciting the appropriate level of detail is quite challenging. Again, the key is to find the right balance. Also, if you fail to elaborate stories at the right time, you are risking to either get information that might no longer be correct, or the entire project can be delayed if you are too late.